Let's talk about different types of blessings because you said before that when it comes from Satan or man, it's temporal, and if it's from God, it's lasting. So, how do I know the difference between a temporal blessing, one that's from man, or that's ordained by Satan, or one that's of God and that's everlasting?
When it's by man or it's temporal, 9 times out of 10, you will have to work extremely hard to keep it. You never can trust it. And it's usually short-lived. When it is by God, not only is it eternal, it's because that plan has purpose. That blessing has purpose. It has something to do. For instance, in Jeremiah 29:11, I believe, God says, I know the plans I have for you of good and not of evil. And plans, plural, but we see it as plan, singular. And that means that we have different purposes through life that lead us to our divine destiny. So even in that, those different purposes lead us to our divine destiny, which gives us an eternal road when we follow God's plans for our lives. When we follow our own plan or man's plan or Satan's plan, we're never satisfied. Okay, you used before Beyonce and Jay-Z. So they appear to look like they're on top of the world because they have money. But trust me, if we could be a fly on the wall, there's a whole lot lacking. There's something lacking, because if they're not walking in God's plan for their life, then they're not feeling complete. They're not feeling whole. It's not blessing God. And when I mean bless God's purposes and plans for that gift and talent that they have. So in that, the world now judges success by how much money you have or how many things you have. In God, He judges success by the reason you need the money for. So it is the actual plan that you walk through and are successful in helping, doing, promoting a Christ-like life, character, and integrity that blesses people, helps people, encourages people, strengthens people. And that all blesses God, that has all of His ways. Not a religious mindset, but a God in the reality of your living. Does that make any sense?
Yes. Well, I actually did read your book, The Eternal Makeover. And it was a good read. I think it is very beneficial for people who are young to read it. People of all ages, honestly, to read it. Because as I said before, it gives a good in-depth in your own life throughout the years, the many different things you went through to get where you are now, and even the worksheets in the back, they're good reminders. So if I do the worksheet in the back and one day I feel like I'm backsliding, or if I'm backtracking, or if my thoughts aren't where it's supposed to be, I can always refer to the book and kind of get my answers from there. And you have a nice scripture basis in there that tells you, okay, I'm giving you this advice, but this is the scripture this advice comes from. So in addition to your book, which is your first endeavor in this realm, I understand you have some more projects coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about those projects?
A friend of mine, Gabrielle Haywood, who's an awesome playwright. She's from the Atlanta, Georgia area, but she's a new transplant here in the Pittsburgh area. And the two of us have come together to do 2 projects and marrying them into one. The first is a play called Where Do We Go From Here? And then the second one that should come right after that is called The Journey. And they're both very now type things. It deals with issues from a young man's perspective. His name is Lucky, and he's a singer. And his highly dysfunctional family life is bringing up some questions because he had a death of his father, which forced the mother to leave and go out on the road for singing, because she sings too. That's where he got a lot of his gifts from. And the breakdown of the family unit before he even goes outside is bringing up a whole lot of questions. So before you even deal with things like Ferguson the things that happened in